Listen, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network published the following statistics in a 2009 report titled Harsh Realities. Almost all transgender students have been verbally harassed, called names, or threatened in the past year at school because of their sexual orientation, 89%, and their gender expression, 87%. Over half of all transgender students have been physically harassed, pushed, or shoved in school in the past year because of their sexual orientation, 55%, and their gender expression, 87%. Over 3/4 of transgender students, 76%, reported being sexually harassed, such as receiving unwanted sexual remarks or being touched inappropriately. Now, for a few minutes, you will be senators of Texas Senate. You will listen to Alain talk about her daughter, Sophie.
I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. I'm here to talk about my daughter, Sophie. My daughter Sophie was born Michael Allen Jr. At a very young age, Michael showed signs he was different from other boys. At 3, he would yank at his clothing and ask to wear dresses. He said it wasn't fair that other girls got to wear dresses and he didn't. He wasn't into typical boys' toys. He played with Barbies and dolls, and he often played dress up with my makeup and clothes. Everyone said it was a phase. But when Michael was 9, while we were eating dinner, he told us he didn't feel anything like a boy. I'm a girl, he said. When you talk about me, say she. The next day, we got a letter from Michael explaining that he'd always felt like a girl and pleaded with us to please stop treating him like a boy. My husband and I could no longer dismiss or make up excuses for what was happening with our son. We took Michael to see a therapist, and the therapist confirmed what I already knew. Michael was a transgender child, which meant that although he was born male, he genuinely felt and believed he was female. The therapist also suggested that we allow Michael to transition to being female as soon as possible because the strain of living as a male was causing him severe psychological and emotional damage. Afterward, Michael and I had a long talk, and I said I would start using the pronouns her and she instead of him and he. We went through names until she found one she liked and decided on Sophie. I wish I could say this was easy for me, but it wasn't. I cried all the time. I mourned the loss of my little boy, and my husband was a complete mess. He was in denial and refused to accept Michael as a girl. After a while, it seemed like he was always one of 3 things: angry, sad, or completely cold. I bore the weight of my failing marriage, my transitioning child, and my own fear. I was so scared. I was scared for this little person whom I loved so dearly because I knew what she would go through at school. Who would love her? Who would accept her? Would she ever be able to have a normal life? It devastated me. I was terrified by what was happening to our family. My husband showed no support for Sophie or for me, and 6 chaotic months after Sophie's therapy, I left my husband. We moved into my mother's house, and it was there that I started getting serious about her transition. I let her grow her hair out and bought her girls' clothes with what little money I had, which wasn't much. She'd be starting school in a new town in 5th grade, and I wanted more than anything for things to go smoothly. When the first day of school came, I asked her if she wanted me to drive her and pick her up. I remember she rolled her eyes at me like she always did when she thought I was being overprotective. She said, "No, I love you," I said. She was out the door. How was it that she was so brave and I was in shambles? It didn't take long before the taunting began. Although I informed the school of our situation, teachers still called her by her birth name, Michael. And although I let her hair grow out, it had only grown just past her ears. In essence, she still sometimes looked like a boy. The other kids would surround her, laughing, asking whether she was a boy or a girl, or if she was just gay. When she shouted back at them that she was a girl and to leave her alone, they told her to prove it. Show us, they'd yell. Yes, show us. And they'd yank at her clothes. They tripped her, called her gay, called her faggot, and told her she's the ugliest girl they'd ever seen. They even told her she should kill herself. I called the school several times. I went into the school and spoke with the principal who promised me he'd have a talk with the bullies. When that didn't work, I called the superintendent, the bullies' parents, and then the police as a last resort. I was so angry and felt so powerless. And despite everything, Sophie still got bullied. When I got home from work, she would tell me more stories and start crying. I didn't understand how the school system could let this happen. Why weren't these bullies being punished? What was a parent like me supposed to do? If I had no choice but to send my child to school, didn't they have some obligation to protect her? Wasn't there a law that required them to? Halfway into the school year, Sophie became withdrawn and distant. She was seeing a therapist again, but it wasn't helping. On December 12, 2008, I came home to find Sophie hanging from a belt in her bedroom closet. I ran towards her screaming and grabbed over her belt, but I knew in my head it was too late. She was 10 years old. I can't tell you how many times I've replayed the events of those last few months in my head, analyzing what I could have done differently, what I should have done differently. I should have made more phone calls. I should have taken her out of that school. I should have moved and put her into a different school. I should have homeschooled her. But I didn't, and it's too late, and my life will never be the same. I will go to my grave knowing that I failed my daughter. I'm here because something needs to change. Kids across America are fighting every day, fighting to feel good about themselves, fighting to make it through one more day of hell at school. As parents and adults, it is up to us to protect our children in every facet of life until they can make decisions about where they want to be and who they want to be with. In school, they don't have that choice. We have national laws to protect our children from abuse in the home. Child Protective Services will take children out of unhealthy homes and provide services for them. What policy do we have in place to protect our children from abuse in school? We don't have one. With the anti-bullying legislative bill, HB 1323, we're taking the first step in the right direction. I'm asking that you please keep the language that specifies protection for gender identity and sexual orientation in the bill. It is so very important. And when you cast your votes for this legislation, please think of Sophie and all others who are facing the same deal without a grounded school. We'll be saving countless young lives.